slightly longer. This is about scales. And so again, this is from the Carl Berman method book. So scales are basically a succession of 8 sounds starting from any note, ascending or descending by tones or semitones. And here is a quick example here. We refer to the notes in a scale as degrees. For instance, the first degree of the scale, the second degree, the third degree, the fourth degree. The words tone and semitone refer to the idea that there is actually a note in between a C to a C sharp here and then the D. That's a full whole tone. Or a semitone, which means between this E and this F, there are no notes in between. In a major scale, we have 2 whole tones here, one here, a semitone, then 3 whole tones in a row, and then a semitone here. Let's move on and look at another word called diatonic. A diatonic scale refers to the name of the note on the first scale degree, or the root. So there are 12 major and 12 minor scales, and we will get to that in a moment. The intervals between each of these notes on the scale have names as well. So we can say if we go from this C here to this D here, that is a second. If we again use this C as our fundamental root note of the scale and we were to go up directly to an E here, that is the interval from C to E is a third. From C to F is a fourth. And you can see how the numbers work, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can continue to look at that interval. So you have your scale with the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 is the octave. And then we have the scale degrees, which means, so I'm giving a quick review, each note has the first degree, each note of the scale can be referred to as the first scale degree, the second scale degree, the third scale degree, etc. But you also can look at the word interval, which means the distance between specific notes. Let's go on to scales with sharps. So in order to produce semitones between the third and the fourth and the seventh and eighth degrees on any other but the scale of the C is required to use certain characters which are called sharps. And these are symbols that we might know of as hashtags. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And so here, the sharps, I'm going to try to make this a little larger for us, are in this order. And when we have a table of key signatures, which over time you will study these and learn these by heart, but the order of these, whenever there is one sharp, that is going to be a G scale, and that is going to be an F sharp in the key signature. So here's an F sharp here. If you were to have 2 sharps in the key signature, that scale is a D scale, and that second sharp would be a C sharp. Let's look at the quick pattern. If you go from F sharp here and count up 5, that is a fifth above. That is your C sharp, that's your second sharp. And it's going to continue that pattern of, if you were to take this C sharp and go up a fifth, you would get a G sharp. Here they went down just to keep everything within the staff so it's visually easy to see. So to make this a quick summary, you have a table of key signatures of sharps, and you add 1 sharp at a time, keeping them in order like this, and the name of the scales correspond to these keys. So one way to remember this is to think that the interval of a fifth is an important part in how you determine these. So from G to D is a fifth, from D to A is a fifth, from A to E is a fifth. The same concept happens in flats. So here's a B flat. 1 flat in the key signature is the scale of F, or the key of F. 2 flats, B flat and E flat. And here you can see the order of the flats as we increase them in the key signature. So here is 3 flats, 4 flats, 5 flats, 6 flats, and 7 flats is our maximum. Now if we go over to this other table here, and we enlarge this a little bit and come over here, we can look at minor scales. Every major scale has a relative minor, the root of which is formed on the 6th scale degree of the major scale. So both scales have the same key signature, but there are two kinds of minor scales, a harmonic and melodic. So if we started out, let's go back here for a second and say we started out with a key of C. If we count up to 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here, the 6th scale degree, what we'll do, we'll come over to this other page now, is we know that in the key of C, the relative minor, they call it the relative minor, same key signature, is A minor. And there are two types, the melodic, which takes the 6th and the 7th of A and raises them up a half step. And then when you descend the scale, you lower them a half step, so G natural and F natural. Let's take a look at some of the minor key signatures. So here's A minor, which is the same as C major in terms of key signature. G major, 1 sharp, E minor. And you notice if you count up from each of these, you'll get 6. For instance, from C, C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, C to A is a 6th, therefore A minor is our relative minor, and that works for each of these key signatures. So once you are able to memorize through the practice of your scales on your instrument and through studying in a chart like this, your key signatures in the majors, I suggest you go over to the minors and start learning what the relative minor is for each key. Here are the sharps and here are the flats, and this is a good table to study. Now the harmonic minor scale is slightly different. This essentially takes that minor scale that we determined from our relative minor, A, and it only alters the 7th note, in this case G, and it makes it a G sharp going up and G sharp coming down. So the melodic minor, let's just do a quick review on that. Melodic minor raises the 6th and 7th as you ascend the scale going up, and it lowers them coming down back to the original key signature. The harmonic minor takes the 7th and raises it both going up and down the scale.